Welcome back to the shop. I'm Jeff from Today's Craftsman.
I'm Rob.
You might have seen our video from last week on installing the Salice F70, got somebody on the roof, F70 drawer slides. We wanted to take the opportunity to sort of show you the difference, because we talked about this drawer box that we purchased, show the difference between something like this and this isn't a full drawer, but a drawer that we would have built in the past. So what do you notice off the bat, Rob?
Well, we use 3/4 inch stock, and typically it's 5/8, on a store-bought drawer.
Looks, much more drastic than that too.
Yeah,
looking at these side
these
by
are
side.
substantial. You could see how on the store-bought drawer they're looking to save costs, and we pass that on to the client. But they're gluing up small pieces of wood, and this is going to be covered. This is the front of the drawer, and you can see they're actually, butt joining pieces, and then they'll just run a little thin strip along the top to hide that fact. No care is really taken to match anything, and even this was some stock we had left over. Even in this is a short drawer. Even on our taller drawers, we would take great pains to use full height stock so that there were no seams, and if we had to make one, we would glue up from the same board, match everything.
Yep.
You could see the difference in the dovetails, and we'll talk a little bit about how we made our dovetails. It's just a little bit more artful in appearance.
Yeah, one thing that you might notice, this doesn't have any finish on it, but you can see, we're nice and flush right here. This is a nice seam. This is nice and flush. If you look at this drawer that was purchased from a drawer manufacturer, there's no finish on the end grain here. We have a rounded edge meeting a square edge here. There's a round over on this piece and none here. So what they do with these are they actually, they make long pieces of drawer material and they finish them. And then when you order the drawers, they'll cut them to length, they'll run the dovetails, and they put them together with just, we've busted one of these apart before, just a couple little tiny dabs of glue. It's really the actual mechanics of the dovetail that are holding this together. Like if I were to take a mallet and hit this, I would probably just bust this side off. All the pressure is coming this way when you're opening the drawer, so it's really not an issue per se, but these are finished prior to assembly, whereas when we're building drawers, we would glue them up, sand everything nice and flush, and then finish them. So we have nice tight seams on the top, nice tight seams and consistent finish on the sides.
Yeah, it's a good looking box. We used to take a lot of pride in building our own drawers. They take a lot of time. Like for a kitchen that maybe had 20 drawers, it would take me a week, start to finish, milling up, the raw stock, dimensioning it, and the dovetailing process is really the fastest part.
Yeah.
It's all the finishing, all the sanding and all the little details that go into it.
The milling of the wood,
Yeah.
This has to start as rough lumber. It has to get jointed. It has to get planed. It's got to rest. And then you got to go through that process again. It's got to be sanded. It's got to be brought down to size. You have to make sure that you're cutting everything the right size and having some extra pieces and,
Right. And we fought long and hard the idea of buying drawer boxes because they are so inexpensive, and we're in business. We're not here just making things to show on YouTube or Instagram. And we found that the clients didn't want to pay for the extra time it took to make this drawer box. They really didn't want it enough. They want this drawer box and the cost associated with it.
Yeah, they would rather put that money elsewhere in the project. To most people, this is just a very utilitarian piece of the, typically, we're talking about cabinetry here mostly, For furniture, we would still preferably build our own drawers.
Yeah, if we're making a dresser or something like that.
Yeah, for a kitchen, people, the drawer is just to hold things. It's a utilitarian object. They're not opening the drawer and feeling the sides like this, like we are, and noticing that, this is a hard square corner, and so it is back here. They would rather spend $60 on this drawer versus $400 on this drawer.
It's a lot.
They would rather take that money and put it into the decorative hardware, the handles and knobs, or into their tile backsplash, or into the refrigerator, the range. This is like very low priority for most people.
Yeah. It was a tough transition for us, but we're not rigid, and if you stay rigid, you really can't survive.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention, this is birch.
Yeah.
This is hard maple.
Yeah.
And
they probably weigh the same.
this is definitely lighter, but looking at the size, this is a third of the size. It certainly weighs more than 1/3 of what this weighs.
Yeah.
We would typically use a 1/2-inch bottom. This has a 1/4-inch bottom. I think they have an option for 3/8 bottom, no 1/2-inch, but you could balance this and stand on this corner, and this thing wouldn't move. This wouldn't survive that.
We've done some destruction tests.
Yeah.
Do you want to say where these drawers come from?
Yeah, so we bought this drawer from a company called NJ Drawers, and they're up in Dunellen, New Jersey, which is, I think, like northwest of here. Really good guys. I use them. Actually, we found them through the old shop where we used to work. I used them on a couple side jobs years ago, and we've used them throughout the last 5 years. We've also purchased drawers through Hayfla. Hayfla has a drawer program. Depending on like the lead time of the job, we sort of bounce back and forth between Hayfla and NJ Drawers, but they're both very comparable. These CNC dovetailers are going to give a pretty similar finish.
They're almost all the same stuff.
Yeah, these are a little bit wider than a lot of what you see. We were just talking like the Porter cable jig is going to give you tails and pins that are maybe half as wide as this. They're like a single router bit width, whereas these are kind of like a double. So that looks a little bit nicer than some of the other drawer boxes that you see. Something we didn't mention also, these are what are known as half-blind dovetails, meaning from the front you can't see any dovetails, but from the side you can. So that's 1 out of 2, half blind. These are through dovetails, so when you look at the front, you can see the ends of the pins. I think the look of a full through dovetail is a lot nicer than the half blind.
Yeah.
In furniture, half blinds are nice when you have an integrated front. So if, this is the side, but if you wanted the front to be, walnut and show on the outside of this walnut cabinet, you could have a walnut front with half blinds and have maple sides. In this situation, we're always using an applied front, so you'll never see this, but.
You want to talk a little bit about the jig that you used to use?
Yeah, sure. There are so many jigs out there. There's dozens.
The Lee jig is a very popular one. The Porter cable. Rockler's got one. Woodcraft. Everybody's got one.
Yeah. The Keller, this was my first jig, and then I wanted to get fancy and I bought the Lee jig, and I had to refer to the manual every time I used it. So I went back to the Keller jig, which is a really simple and inexpensive setup. It's really just this phenolic template. They make a metal one, they make some bigger ones, but this one will make a drawer like 11.5 inches, which is pretty good for any kind of kitchen cabinetry kind of thing. And it comes with this and 2 router bits with bearings, a dovetail bit and a straight bit. And as you can see on my notes, this side takes the straight bit, and it's for the fronts and the backs of the drawers. And if there's a blemish on the board that I want to hide, I put the blemish out when I orient it in a jig. And this one just has, this is the side that uses a dovetail. So these are all the notes I needed to operate this jig. There,
You can see all the screw holes where it stops and lines,
Yeah, there are a few little nuances to every jig. This one has it, getting the stop set up correctly is really where it's all about. But basically, just, you clamp the boards in and you route away. And it's really pretty fast. You get a nice tight fit. Everybody's got their favorite. This happened to be mine. And it's under $100, so I don't think you can go wrong.
Well, yeah, I don't know how updated your pricing is.
Forget how old I am.
I think this one is about $99.
Yeah, I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was inexpensive at the time, and it comes with the bits, so it's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lee jig, you're talking, I think, upwards of $500 plus, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they have one that starts in like $300, but this is like stupid simple. The hardest part is getting your stop set equal.
Mm-hmm.
So I put this together today, and I had them oriented not the same as they were put in here. So I had some little like this was high on, the right side was high on all of them. So it was like I had some pieces flipped over. These have to be perfectly centered between these points, so that you have equal either half pins or equal little shoulders here. So getting that set up is a matter of
trial and error.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of trial and error. It was great making drawers. I used to take a lot of pride in it, but I'm pretty happy purchasing the drawers now, to tell you the truth. It's fast. The clients are happy, and in the end, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah.
We're giving the folks what they're asking for, and it doesn't. This eats up a lot of shop time making drawers like this.
It depends on the project, but it's always like form and function, and typically furniture is heavy on the form, so we want everything to look as nice as possible and be as nice as possible. Whereas with cabinetry, it's like people need kitchen cabinets. You need a place to put your things. It's utilitarian, and it's a lot about function, and people are willing to not sacrifice, but they're willing to compromise on form in order to pay what they can afford or what they're willing to pay. So this is a functional drawer, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So this works for something like that. And then, if it's furniture, we're trying to get something that looks as nice as possible. It's better to make the drawer.
So we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you guys think about, buying drawers, making drawers, the business aspect, the artistic craftsperson aspect of it? I'd like to hear your opinions.
Yeah, are you too good to buy drawers?
We're not, obviously.
No. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and we'll see you on the next one.